All right, well, it's coming right along. I've actually got a little sidetracked and started pulling apart some stuff under the engine bay. Started pulling out some turbo piping and the batteries are removed. To be honest with you, I'm just gonna kind of keep picking things apart. I'm not entirely sure how fenders come apart. I'm obviously gonna have to pull the hood off. But one thing that has always bugged me about this truck is the fact that the grille, which is such a dominant part of the look, is really not mounted properly. It actually fell off on me one time and I used this very professional attractive solution to just kind of keep it there. So I'm going to just sort of pull it off right now. And then I did some measuring and it should actually fit in the box. I'll probably have to move the bumpers or something, but that would be kind of nice to just get it out of the way. And then, you know, I can continue on just getting this thing stripped down and should probably start draining the radiator and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. But anyways, keep picking away at her. Just starting to drain the radiator. I'm gonna see if I can try and get it done without any leaks. Got this little hose coming off the drain thing there into the bucket. Obviously, this is a dirty bucket. It's just a bunch of old gear oil in there, but this will take a while, but I'm hoping to minimize antifreeze all over the floor. It's kind of a pain to clean up. So I am not going to be reusing this radiator. Some very knowledgeable folks online had recommended that I put an 11 blade plastic fan in here from Gino's Garage. I'm also going to be going the Mishimoto radiator. And another guy had mentioned putting like a header wrap on the turbo piping and the downpipe and stuff like that. He said that can have a huge impact on underhood temperatures. So just picking away at her, gonna keep getting this thing stripped down. I have had this motor out before and actually went through it and rebuilt it, but I have some scoring on the cylinder wall, so I'm gonna have to figure out what the heck that was from. It might have been that some crud got in there. It's possible that the oil pressure wasn't built up enough when it first started. Maybe the rings were a little tight or something. I'm gonna have to go through and figure out what the heck caused that. So unfortunately, gonna have to do a full rebuild on this motor again. Hopefully I can just hone the cylinder walls. Obviously all the bearings and everything are gonna be fine, but hopefully I can hone the cylinder walls, not have to get it bored out 20 over because it does have brand new Cummins rings in it, but we'll figure all that out when we get there. Well, radiator is removed and the floor still kind of looks like a floor. I've got the battery box and actually noticed underneath it is completely rusted through. I'm going to be building some new battery boxes anyways, so I'll kind of repair that when I'm doing it. I'll probably start picking over towards the fenders now and see if I can figure out how to get those off and then start dealing with disconnecting all the wiring that goes from up here into the cab and just keep on going, but she's coming. I will also be putting some turbo jackets on these turbos here. Can't say for sure when. I would presume, you know, as this is all getting put back together, it'd have the good access, so it'd be a good excuse. But between those and the Mishimoto radiator and hopefully a Hamilton head going on there, I mean, that's getting up sort of well into the thousands of dollars, so we'll just have to play it by ear. Most of the stuff that I've done so far is pretty familiar territory. I have had the motor tranny and transfer case and the axles and most of the main stuff disconnected, but I have never removed fenders before, so I'm just going to start picking through. These fenders are not lined up very well anyways. The door pins really need to be replaced, but might be tough to tell here, but when the truck is all together, everything's completely out of whack. So regardless, all this stuff would probably need to be fiddled with anyways, so might as well just take her all apart and start from scratch. Okay, well, passenger side fender is off. About a million fasteners, but actually super basic. I just wanted to show some stuff over here. So I've mentioned a few times about electrical gremlins on this truck. I've made these new cables here, but all this stuff was just on there. And one of these wires, I think it goes to the fuel shutdown solenoid or something, but you know, it's just, everything's so raggedy. In here, so in this sort of fuse relay panel, This one right here, where it's missing, that is actually supposed to be for the ABS brakes, I believe. And there's like no socket in there or like nothing to even plug it into. This truck has rear ABS, but I mean, it's just such a mess. You know, you look around, there's spots where wires are like spliced together and they just change color and change color. Like, you know, it's just a mess. All right, well, it's the next day. I'm trying to pick a bit of a strategy here. Initially, I just thought I would pull the cab off, but I really need to get organized and kind of get to know the electrical system on this truck. So I think I'm actually going to pull the dash and the seat and stuff out of the cab. That'll make it a bit lighter for lifting so that there's less chance of bending any sheet metal. But also it'll make it so that I have to actually put it together again. It's so easy to put electrical and interior stuff on the back burner, but considering how much time I spend in the actual cab, it would be nice to have it proper. So I think I'm going to go with that first. If I could get you know, the dash and the firewall cleared off and, you know, as much electrical stuff sort of dismantled and labeled and stuff like that today, that would definitely be my goal. And then once I got the cab off, you know, I can really start getting serious about tearing the powertrain stuff apart and or the drivetrain and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, gonna start picking away at it. Here we go. Well, the interior's coming along nicely. Got the gauge pod out of there. Pretty much all the switches and the stereo stuff. This is sitting pretty flat in here now. I'm really trying to not break it, so I'm just going slow and getting bit by bit off of there. This has obviously been lowered down and disconnected. So this is kind of neat. I've actually never had a gauge pod out before, and I imagine depending on the year they're probably a lot different, but I guess all of these are just screw-in light bulbs that kind of come out and can be changed, and this truck definitely has a couple of things that don't light up, so really just had no idea it was going to be that simple to pull them apart and throw new bulbs in, so definitely those will all be getting replaced. There's quite a mess of wires down in here that I'm going to have to sort of sort apart and remove from the dash and kind of try and keep everything as organized as I can, but that is a big ball of spaghetti. These second-gen Dodge Rams, I'm not sure if this is a common thing with other trucks, but these dashes have a really bad reputation for cracking. They just get very brittle. I would imagine it's worse in a high sun area, like down in the desert and stuff, but I've got one little crack somewhere. I've had this dash mostly off when I was doing the heater core, so I might do a bit of light fiberglassing in behind it, or we'll just see if I can get it apart in one piece, but I'm really just going to try and take my time and see if I can get through this. All this stuff is getting repainted. It's going to need to be cleaned very, very thoroughly, but hopefully I can just sort of reuse the stuff that's here and kind of go from there. Time for a quick little update. The interior is coming along well. As you can see, I've got this giant plate of spaghetti sitting here. The steering column has been pulled out of there. And I'm starting to get in the ballpark of getting ready to pull the cab off. This e-brake or parking brake assembly, I still have to get in there and get that detached, but all that needs to be replaced. The parking brake has never worked on this truck. She's coming along. A lot of work, actually. This step, to pull the dash apart without breaking it, and it did all come apart fine, but to get everything disassembled and get the, you know, try and, you know, label as much stuff as I can. Mystery dash box. You can definitely tell I'm pretty new at this. I found some sort of little electrical box in the back or in the dash there, but either way, for the most part, lots of blue tags and trying to keep things organized, and nothing broke. Everything came apart well, so all the connectors, everything like that are fine. So it took a long time, but we're here now, and I can just sort of get over on the engine side of the firewall and start picking that apart over there. Okay, time to start removing the cab mounts. Okay, boy oh boy, I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I was going to pull the cab off the front. As you can see, there's a gigantic engine in the way. That is not even going to come close to working. The thing is though, I really did want to take the cab off before the drivetrain because not only is it much easier to get at the bell housing bolts and all that kind of stuff with the cab off, but I don't have a proper transmission jack, so I have had the tranny and transfer case off and on a couple times, but it is a real mess doing it underneath here. You know, I definitely want to take the cab off first, that is for sure. The truck is no longer drivable, all the brakes and steering and everything are unhooked, so man, I've really kind of backed myself into a corner here. I think the next step, I had planned on pulling the axles off much later in the game, but I think the next step would be to remove the axles and just lower the frame like as low as possible, so it's like maybe a foot off the ground or so. Maybe try and lift the cab up, set it back on the frame where the box goes, and then, you know, pull out the drivetrain and stuff. This is going to get pretty crazy. I really was not thinking clearly at all about this step, and boy oh boy, this is going to be interesting. So, okay, keep at her. I'm just going to remove the axles, set the frame right directly on those blocks, which are about 11 or 12 inches tall, and then that will mean that the truck will be lowered about 13 inches from where it's sitting right now. You know, I'll put it so that this thing for the control arms is in front of the block, so we don't got to worry about that hitting anything. Drive shafts will obviously be removed. There isn't really anything that hangs more than maybe 6 or so inches down. You know, I was pretty excited about seeing that cab off of there sooner than later, but the reality is, in a project like this with so many unknowns and so much inexperience, I am just going to have to play it step by step and just try and be patient and, you know, do everything as good as I can. So anyways, that's the plan. I was hoping to have the cab off. I thought, you know, I had a chance of having it off today, but as it sits, probably be quite a bit more work before we get there. So anyways, no worries, onwards and upwards.